Hello everyone. My name is my name is Daramouthe, and welcome to another Darachat. Oh, that's right. It's Darachat. Daramouthe. Also can call me Dara. There's a lot of things to remember when you're trying to open it correctly. It's sort of like, okay, so this is the steps I have to do, and this and this, and then you screw it up, and you're like, what was I saying again? I still mess up my own entrance because it's like, because people still say it wrong because they say Daramouthe. It's like no. There's a silent e at the end. No, it's there. Oh my goodness! And how are you, good sir? This is Crazy Goffo, which is a name in itself. Because now I'm
Yeah,
gonna start asking questions.
I'm doing great. How are you today?
Oh, it's hot where I am, and it's humid, and it's getting to September, so you're gonna have the whole last hurrah of summer, and it's gonna be like you step you you step outside, and you're wondering why you just stepped into a swimming pool. You're not even in water. It's just ridiculous. Hey, Phoenix, how are you? Oh my goodness. But yeah, it's not a fun. I look, I get it. We're almost towards autumn or fall, and that's usually not to like. I think the official day of fall is not to like this 22nd of September, but it
Yeah.
it doesn't follow that. Like, spring can come early, spring can come later. It doesn't follow the officialness. I'm just like,
Well,
whatever.
I'm in Central Texas, so
Goodness. You have
uh, we have like a week
um
of fall, a
mm,
week of spring, and like a month of winter, and the rest of it's summer.
yeah. You got Texas, and of course, you get hurricane season, so you guys do deal with that. But I
Hmm.
remember when you got hit by that winter, man, and you guys were messed up.
Yeah, yeah. 2021 was devastating because
Mhm.
we had just um, moved here or moved into to this property,
Right.
and it wiped out power for our entire region for 8 days.
Jeez.
So didn't have any power
Yeah.
backups. So we had to, bunch of people, got to remember this was during the whole, when everyone was scared of COVID.
Yeah.
Um, so we were all, it was 25 people huddled in a living room around a wood fired stove.
Jeez.
So
That
it
that
was,
that's like frontier day sort of look right there, where you're just like, hey, come on, Paul, get on in, let's get warm.
all the dogs and all the kids, they loved it the first day, and then then it got miserable.
Yeah. Well, and you guys are used to almost triple digits, and then here
Hmm.
comes, what was it, in December? Was it like December or January that it came around?
February.
February. It was like in February, and all of a sudden you get hit with this blast of just snow and ice, and you're like, "What do we do? What do we?"
You know,
It's
we we'll get like a day
uh,
of snow and ice normally
mm,
a year, and that's about it.
mm,
So everything shuts down for a day, and that's
yeah.
fine.
Mm.
Never for a week.
I was like, and it affected a lot. Like, I know there was like the talk about the windmills getting hit and all, because you guys have a
Hmm.
lot of solar stuff down there. But I can't have, and it's the same thing with, like, places like Louisiana and all this stuff. Like, if they get hit with just even like snow falling from the sky, they're like, we don't have the equipment for this. We gotta shut everything down.
Yeah.
And they kind of, now, have has the mindset changed a little bit after that, or you just guys go back to business as usual?
So you got to remember that less or just a few weeks before that cold front,
Hmm.
natural gas and oil production was shut down
Oh,
in Texas.
jeez.
There was an executive order that shut down natural gas production, and all of our power plants are natural gas. All of our heating is natural gas.
Mm,
So gotta figure out.
Yeah.
So of course, yes, there was natural gas issues.
Mm.
Windmills froze up.
Mm.
Solar panels were snowed over.
Yeah.
So uh, the only things we had still going was nuclear.
Mm.
We only have 3 nuclear power plants in Texas,
Mm.
and nowhere near capable of supplying
Wow.
pretty much anything. I mean,
Jeez.
they work. They're. I very much appreciate that we have those, but
Mm.
we
Yeah.
don't have anything else.
Yeah. It's so you guys do have nuclear power plants, but the power they output is not enough for the state alone.
Oh God,
It's
no, not even remotely close.
jeez. Yeah. And well, I mean that's good you had something, but yeah, that's like
It would just help, the people that are uh, in those general areas, because everything else is
natural gas. Wow.
coal, natural gas, wind, and solar is all we have.
Wow. Yeah, that really does put in the word of halting the train, so to speak. Gosh dang. Um, yeah, and I was just, it makes not, and it's not just Texas, right? Again, like you have Louisiana, Alabama, all
Hmm.
these people that are down in the. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever see Florida get frozen like that, but it would be sort of in the same category where you have people who are used to this high, like Phoenix, Arizona, and all these places where they're just used to all this high heat and stuff, and all of a sudden nature just takes a 180, and you're just like, well, I guess you're
Yeah,
staying home.
yeah. Our houses. We build our houses for to try to keep us cool,
Mhm.
but not to
Wow.
keep us warm.
Yeah, and it's a funny thing because there was like news stuff that came out for like the UK, right? Like they would be because of the heat,
Hmm.
they're not used to the heat like you guys are, and of course, and the humidity as well. And they had those articles saying it's the biggest heat wave in the UK, and just all this stuff. And rightly so, we kind of laughed at it a bit because when the Celsius was translated to like Fahrenheit, it was like, oh, it's just not even 80 degrees yet. But for them, it's something they are used to, and
Hmm.
talking. And I've talked to a few from the UK, and their cities and homes were made to retain heat
Hmm.
because they're more towards like I believe they're above Spain, so they're more closer towards like the Iceland and Greenland type of climate. And when you have something like a big heat wave, right, like 80ish degrees, whatever, on our terms, right, Celsius is a different beast. Don't ask me to translate; it's not going to go well.
I'm the other way around. I don't understand Fahrenheit for the life of me.
Oh, are you more a metrics person? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm born and raised in Ireland.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I've lived in the United States. I've lived in Texas for considerable amount of time. That my accent is very different, but
Yeah, because you do sound Southern,
yeah.
at least what we consider Southern. Now, I do know one of the people I talked to who's from UK. His name is Tomby, and um, he and his wife are thinking of moving to the US, which is just when you're trying to move from one country to another. I can't imagine the red tape and all the stuff you have to put into just to move.
Yeah, it's not. Well, it's a whole lot easier now than it used to be.
Oh, okay, okay.
Because when we immigrated,
Mm.
it was during the war,
Oh, okay, yeah,
so
yeah.
um, it was a whole different animal back in the 80s and 90s.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
I
but
can believe
now
that.
it's. I mean, it's still not easy,
Yeah.
but it's far easier.
hmm Yeah. And it's funny because I mean, so if we're talking just moving in the U.S., right? You would just need a truck and a company or whatever, and you'd move. You're talking about moving from the UK to the US. That's airplanes. That's a whole different piece altogether. And then I I can't imagine the headache alone just to plan those things out because you have to pretty much do all your big stuff where you're at home, over in UK or Ireland, whatever you may call home. And then once you finally get to that point, you have to do all the pick up, take over, and just move it to the place.
Yeah, well, and you're not. So if you're wanting to move like furniture or belongings or something like that, you're not putting that on the plane.
Oh, really?
No, you're
Interesting.
you're you're loading it up into boxes, and they're
Mhm.
getting loaded into a container ship.
Oh, so they do get shipped on a ship. Okay,
Yeah, same thing with cars.
okay.
Um, because I know a lot of people that have done it. They'll actually ship their car
Hmm.
when they come to say the United States
Hmm.
for uh, for an extended period of time
Right.
because it's cheaper than a rental. Which I
Speaks a
don't.
lot.
I mean,
Speaks a lot.
rental cars are
Yeah. Yeah.
insane expensive now.
Yeah.
When wrecked uh, I wrecked the car.
Hmm.
It was like $140 a day.
Jeez.
Like, I mean, thank God insurance, but
Yeah.
if I had to pony that, like, yep, nope, I'll just go buy one.
Yeah, and Abe's from the UK, and he says it gets mentally hot here. You'll see on the screen. It's not
Yep.
even the temperature; it's humidity. Even Texans have been here and hated the hot heat. Now probably that could be said the same of the Japanese summer because it does get very humid
Mhm.
and all that stuff. So I imagine that could be said about that too. But yeah, it does sound like it's a bit of mentality because again, it's a different part of the sphere, and
Yep.
there's a lot of difference in between, and I know some people, I know a lot of Americans commented on it and said, "Oh, that's nothing," but we are in a state where you have Arizona, which is pure dry heat, right?
Hmm.
And then you go to something like surrounding Mississippi, Louisiana stuff, and that's a humid heat. And if you've ever, if I don't know if you've been in a humid heat, but if you've been
Oh
in a
yeah,
humid heat, you
yeah.
don't you don't go outside.
Yeah, I've lived in Georgia. I've lived in the Carolinas.
Wow.
I've lived, obviously Ireland. I've lived in
Mhm.
um, Oxfordshire, England,
Oh,
for
really?
a little while. I've lived in Belgium for a good long
Awesome.
while.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, you get accustomed to the temperature that that it's always,
Right.
and then you leave and you're like, holy shit, man, I forgot how horrible this is. Um,
It's awful, man.
Saudi Arabia, after a while, it's okay. It's 43, 44, 45 outside.
Mhm.
It's hot, but it's just dry. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
I got
Mm.
this.
Yep. Yeah. It takes time for one to accumulate. No, acclimate.
Acclimate.
Acclimate. Man, words. My education only goes so far. But no, that's interesting though. So now, was it you or was it your parents that moved from the UK? Because it because
So
it because it sounded
when
like
I
you were.
when I was a kid,
Mm,
it was my parents
okay.
moved, but
Mm,
I later on went and for various work
okay.
all over.
Wow.
It's really easy having an EU passport
Yeah.
for me to just go.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
visa requirements are really, really easy,
Mm,
uh, much
yeah.
easier than it is for Americans.
Yeah. Especially since I don't know how many countries are involved in are the collected of the EU and all that stuff. That's a lot. But yeah, I mean, I know that many. I would assume that many have dual citizenship because I've never. eh, it it can work out well in a way. Like I mean, you could have someone who's Canadian and then American, so they have
Hmm.
dual citizenship and whatnot. Because in order to be for some countries, as far as I understand it, you in order to become a natural, United
Mhm.
States or whatever, you would have to give up your citizenship of the other country. I know Japan does it. If you want to become a natural citizen, you have to give up wherever your home country was, and you have to
Mhm.
be, which I can understand for some is a very big life decision because then you lose, you have to have a visa and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, you lose your natural rights to your
Yeah.
homeland.
Hmm.
So I'm actually working on U.S. citizenship right now.
Oh, wow.
I finally got approved into the classes
Nice.
at the beginning of this year, so I'll be a U.S. citizen next summer.
Oh, it's great. That's great. Um,
But so I could have become a U.S. citizen
mhm.
more than 20 years ago
Right.
by renouncing my Irish citizenship. But
Yeah.
Ireland doesn't permit you to renounce citizenship. So you can't, that wasn't an option for me.
Interesting. I wonder why. I wonder why that
A lot
is.
of countries
Oh,
won't
okay.
allow you. Um, so that's, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. And
fun.
that's yeah.
Uh,
Give them my rights.
uh,
Um.
6 of my grandkids have triple citizenship. They
Really.
have, because of their father,
Hmm.
he's Panamanian.
Ooh.
So they have Irish citizenship,
Hmm.
U.S. citizenship, and
Hmm.
Panamese.
Chinese. Oh, that's
So
interesting.
it's lucky on them. They'll
That.
be they'll be set.
Yeah. That's a rarity if I've ever heard because I've only ever heard of dual citizenship. But when you have like a multi citizenship, that's a triple citizenship. That's like a circus in itself.
Yeah. So Panama and Ireland both you can't renounce,
Uh-huh.
and it's just like Japanese.
Uh-huh.
Once you have it, it's passed on to your children.
Oh, okay.
So
Interesting.
yep.
Yeah. Because I don't think you have that for Americans. Like
No.
you can easily renounce it as well, not as easy as to get it, but you can easily renounce it,
Mm.
depending on. Um, but yeah, to hear that other countries you can't renounce it, that I mean, I guess in a way that makes sense because once a citizen, always a citizen. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't I don't know if you have to pay taxes to that country if you're whatever. I don't know how it works, but I do
It
know of.
gets complicated.
Yeah, that's the part right there I was going to use. It sounds complicated. It just sounds like a mouthful of trouble, and I don't care to get involved. But okay, so yeah, and that's understandable. Well, it's congrats to you. I do hope you pass because I don't know how difficult it is for you for not having that because I was born and raised here, so I
Hmm.
don't have that mind thought process. But to have it just brings you what I would feel perspective. I would feel that would bring you more closer to the country you reside in because you want to cherish those freedoms and all that comes with it, right?
Yeah, I've lived here a vast majority of my life.
Mm-hmm.
All of my children were born here. My grandchildren have all been born here.
Mm-hmm.
So I it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, uh, it's an absolute pain in the ass having to renew uh, my green card. So um,
Jeez.
re-entering the country
Yeah.
is an absolute pain in the ass because uh, I have a green card, but I have obviously a foreign passport.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's typically been a pain in the ass.
You know.
The nonsense about undocumented immigrant is what I am if I leave the property
Mhm.
without my green card. Then I'm undocumented. I'm not illegal.
Right.
So there's a big
Yeah.
big difference legally
Yeah.
about illegal alien and undocumented
Undocumented.
immigrant.
Yeah.
So that's what I would be if I left the property without.
That's
I mean, it's never an issue. Uh,
yeah. Yeah. And
Nobody looks at me like I'm here
yeah.
illegally anyway. So
Yeah. And the Abe says the UK is so poopy now.
yeah, it is. It's been definitely affecting my
Mm.
radio schedule.
Yeah, and I can imagine. I mean, again, you're from Ireland, so whatever happens in the, I mean, I only know that part. There's a section of Ireland that's part of the UK, and then you have the
Yeah.
independent part. But I can't imagine that makes it any easier when you hear that type of news. Like, well, that just sucks.
Yeah. So Phoenix Electra, I'll not go too deep into my feelings on the Brits.
Yeah. Well, yes, I understand the my understanding is the 1912 uh
Talking about
Irish.
1916, the Easter
Oh,
Rising.
well, there was a while back there I had worked at a place where Liam Neeson was coming to show off a documentary he had directed that was about the Irish rebellion in
Mm-hmm.
1912 or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But he directed the documentary for it, and he was coming. And of course, Liam Neeson is Irish himself,
Mm-hmm.
so but he was coming to show off that, and of course, we get it. There's bad blood between both countries because of that period of time, and how even Ireland became part of Ireland became part of the UK is not history I've looked into. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have. I'm actually working on a video game series that's all about the
Yeah.
the Troubles.
The troubles. Yeah,
So
exactly. And what was that? I was expecting it, but I feared you probably had some strong. And that's understandable because again, it was a period of time of, and of course it was. I can't remember where I saw. There was another documentary. It was like PBS or something like that, and it was just nothing but bad news. And it's like, well, modern Brits and Irish folk have no beef. You know what? I'll have to take your word for it because I know very little of the UK other than what the United States had that history with. Other than that,
yeah, I have no beef with the people.
mm,
I've I've lived there. I lived in Oxfordshire
mm,
for a good long while working for an engineering firm.
right.
So I enjoyed it.
Mm,
I enjoy the people. So
yeah, and that's great. There's a one call it a true resolution of peace, but at least there's some sort of not wanting to take out the backhandingness of a blade or whatever and just machete.
yeah.
But he said Liam Neeson played Michael Collins.
Yes, he did.
I don't know who Michael Collins is, unfortunately, but I'm guessing that's something to do with the Irish history
Yeah,
on that manner.
yeah. He led the rebellion.
The rebellion. Okay, so that's what was. And Phoenix Lecture says the early troubles, the middle, and the ancient. Look, there's always going to be some. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Look, Abe showing a little love right there. There you go. Oh, thank you, Abe. I appreciate that. Yeah, the farther one gets away from those areas, I imagine it gets less and less because again, I imagine that no one's really going, uh, you know, on the remembrance of William Wallace and saying you did this all to us, and yeah, no one's really yelling freedom as much anymore in the UK, obviously, because it's not really much of that going on right now, it seems.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're not allowed. They're not allowed to even mention the word freedom. So
Yeah. Well, and that's a funny thing when you come to, again, the history between America and UK, and the reason of why, the Declaration of Independence came about, and then you have all the other entailment with it, and of course history is, as we know, as time goes on, history is usually written by the winners, and history is, it's never true to know what is the true history, because sometimes that gets buried behind stories and whatnot, and then you're
mhm.
left with, you have to take it at face value, or you dig and maybe you find something different, or you maybe don't. But history is its own battleground, and unfortunately truth is somewhere in the middle, as far as I've learned in
Well,
life.
yeah, I mean, there's three sides to every story: his side, her side, and the truth. So
Yeah.
um, it's never it's never easy.
Yeah. I can't imagine either, but yeah, the just for speaking on the freedom section of the UK, it's not, compared to the US. It is somewhat abysmal, because it's, we're all, what are you saying? We're all united against the government and the monarchy now. I can
Facts.
believe that. I can believe that. It's, I mean, to be honest, I mean, well, whether many agree or not, it did seem like, the previous, Queen, was it Queen Elizabeth? Yeah, Queen
A
Elizabeth
second.
II was, yeah, was well respected. Not sure, not read up her history, and certainly I can't take, like, the, what is it, the series The Crown, as historical, uh, actuality, because there's always a mixture of untruth to it. Um, Yeah, I know, and I understand that zombie. It's always that I have to be careful. But again, it's just having a conversation on, this is the history, this is the issues, right, and all this stuff. And it's not like there's a war going right now between the Brits and the Irish. Like, there's not. It's like, people with their pitchforks, whatever, going after their neighbor. No, there's a much more civility to it. But I don't, I don't think there's a true move on, because it's not, it's been over 100 years, sure, but it's still close enough to be fresh enough, I would think. But that's just a perspective I have. Um, but yeah, you make the comparisons between the UK and the United States, and um, to speak on freedoms is one thing, but when you can look at the UK and said, you guys are, I mean, the United States can't say any better, because we are kind of screwed over by our own government, right?
Mhm.
That's a certain thing that we can say, that's across both ends, is that we're both screwed by our government, and all that stuff. But we kind of, allowed that to happen over, generation after generation. It's not something that just happened right now. It's been a build up, right?
Well, I mean, I mean, it's also been slowly whittled away by in the UK and all the Commonwealths. It's
Mm,
been going on. It goes on throughout the world. So
yeah, it's been a, and it could not be charged for being anti-establishment. After seeing all those videos of people just being barged by police for a Facebook post,
mhm.
uh, oh yeah,
A
and it just,
retweet.
yeah, I'm probably gonna get arrested for saying that. Hey, you know what? If you don't hear knocking on your door, I think you're good.
Well, I was still when we came to the U.S.
Mm,
There's no TV license here,
yeah.
and I thought that was weird. It's like, oh, okay, so it's not a thing here. And then I go back
Yeah.
over there, and it's, well, you better have a TV license. Like, but I'm not going to watch local TV. Well, it doesn't
Uh-huh.
matter if your TV is capable, then you have to pay. You know, I think it was a hundred pounds a year just to
Mhm.
have a TV. I was like, oh, You.
Nope. Mm-mm.
It's like they're computer monitors. They're not TVs.
Yeah. Learn the difference. No, because I mean, I think the closest you could get for paying for television or store is sort of like PBS. You know, they ask for donations every year to run their stations. I mean, I guess maybe NPR because that's state funded, but at the end of the day,
They're just
there's
pulling
a
out of
bit of a
taxes,
yeah,
anyways.
which is
So
yeah.
state-run media.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Abe says the UK has had
Oh, it's not clarity. Yep.
Jeez. Oh goodness. That's funny in itself. But yeah, no, that's um I do having the different people on especially I've had two people on from Australia, so that's
Mhm.
probably the farthest I've been. But to learn the living differences, I would say it's been an interesting because again, there are some things we take for granted or some things that are better one over the other. Like your food is a little better than say our food because of all the
Mhm.
stuff inside it, which has been an interesting in itself.
Yeah.
Um, or just the I would say just the daily grind, as it were, because there's a lot of things we have over in the states that are completely way different than what's in the UK, but there are some similarities with certain things. But yeah, having to have a license for your TV, no.
Uh, yeah. License for radio. That was another thing I
Yeah.
thought was interesting. But uh, just the mindset of it's a 2-hour commute to go to the office
Hmm.
for a lot of people,
Hmm.
especially here in Central Texas. Even though it's Waco area,
Hmm.
uh, a lot of people commute 2 hours to Austin or 2 hours to Dallas,
Right.
and that's just normal for
Hmm.
here.
Right.
Versus, when I lived, um, anytime I lived in Europe, I was
Mm.
no more than 20 minutes
Right. Yeah.
uh, for a commute. So
Mm.
it's a whole different mindset.
Yep. 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 Yeah, and especially that all comes with it because
Pissing confidence.
well, I mean, the UK did send their prisoners there, so you guys did kind of,
Yeah.
you did kind of start that. When you send your prisoners there and they make a country out of it, that's when you're kind of outnumbered at that point. And their government's screwing them over too. It's like, I guess the UK and Australia government are pretty much on
Yeah.
par at this point.
Yeah. All the commonwealths, because you got Canada's also a commonwealth, and
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yep.
uh, they're shutting down people's bank accounts just for honking their horn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, yeah, and that's funny because it's all the pretty ladies voted for Justin Trudeau because he looked good, and where did that get you?
yeah.
Georgia started. Are you talking like Georgia, Russia, or Georgia, the United States? Because that's the one that hits me up. Is when you say Georgia, you're gonna have to find which Georgia.
Yeah.
That's yeah. But yeah, no and all the stuff that comes out of Canada, like the whole what was it, the whole maid thing that happened, not too long ago, and all that stuff, and the what is it, their not is it their medical system, their
Mhm. Their
whatever it
version
is,
of NHS. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, their
yeah,
universal healthcare thing.
yeah, which I mean, you can look at the U.S. and say it's not any better, but when you're forced to pay more taxes to have, I mean, I guess you can say that for the U.S. because of the whole in during the Obama thing. Um, but you get in that battle between those people about which is better and whatnot. It's like I don't have to think about it or whatever. But at the end of the day, you don't really get to choose if your insurance doesn't work for you. You just get this thing, and that's
Yeah,
it.
well, so that was the obviously they've their universal health care is running out of money, which
Wow, what a
big
surprise!
surprise. And now all of a sudden they're pushing what they call MAID, medical
Yes,
assistance, and
and death.
so
Yes.
what really got me is if you watched the Olympics
Mm,
in Canada, there was this really emotional uh, commercial about athletes,
yeah.
striving and then getting injured while they're
Mm,
trying to get to the Olympics.
yeah.
And it was a MAID commercial. I was like, are you? I've worked my whole life
Uh huh.
to be an Olympic athlete.
Uh huh.
And the first time there's a hurdle, an injury, a torn ACL or a torn rotator cuff, something like that,
Yeah.
the government's response is, well, you know what? Oh, fuck.
It's
I saw that. I was like, because I was like, oh man, yeah, I understand the struggle.
uh,
I
yeah.
was a professional athlete for a long time,
Wow.
and I know what injuries do to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, I was never depressed to call the government for
End of
ending
life.
it. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, so I need to train harder.
Yeah.
Need to need to rebuild.
Yeah.
Like,
And the funny thing is like it was for as what was the like Phoenix was saying, the vet who just wanted to lift for his stairs, they said no, but offered. And that's the
yeah,
thing, right? It's when your government, doesn't matter what country you're in, when your government offers you the end of life thing to solve your solution, that's no longer a government anymore. That's like a ball of death.
hmm
And the funny thing is we kind of created that nonsense, and it's turning around and saying, look, we could do with less of you and more of us, which is ridiculous because you're a human and I'm a human. You just have a stasis of power which can fall at any time, but people don't do anything about it. And I think when you have Canadians who are having something like maid or maids, whatever it's called, and no one is doing anything other than talking about it, I don't know what to tell you.
yeah. Well, I mean, the only thing governments are good at is killing, whether it be their own people or other people. They're really good at killing.
Right. Or putting in the situation of death. There's wars is one. Obviously, locals, on a different scale, but is on par. Um, a governor, what? You get a governor consecutive 4 consecutive license for not having a license. You'll be. Oh, he's talking about the doing. Yeah, for the TV license. Um, yeah, it's just let's.
Lit.
Uh, my my thing after kind of learn all this stuff is that why isn't it that the people of Canada can't just pick themselves up and toss their government out? I mean, you would think that if because I mean a majority of the cities are Toronto, and they're very clustered. I mean, if you look at all of Canada,
hmm
everything's very clustered in this and maybe some pockets off, but everything is very clustered in a few areas. And to just say to just allow your government to just do a thing and says, hey, look, you a vet who has a wobbly leg and can't get it fixed, how about we offer you this thing where you can take care of it and not have to worry about anything anymore?
Yeah.
I
So
it's an accept it's an it's and there are different forms of an acceptance of insanity, and that's one of them, a very big one, mind you, very big one.
so so when it comes to Canada, um,
Mm,
a vast majority of the MPs or
mm,
members of Parliament
Right.
are from the Greater Toronto area.
Right.
So, similar to the United States,
Mhm.
is, you know, except, at least everyone gets some representation in Congress.
Right.
Uh, but New York, California, and Texas,
Mhm.
if they all voted the exact same way, it doesn't matter how the rest of the country would vote,
Mhm.
uh, except in Canada, it's Toronto,
Mhm.
um,
Ontario?
Vancouver,
Vancouver? Okay.
Ontario.
Mm.
Yeah. So, uh, and then obviously, Quebec has a lot of members of parliament, except
Mm.
they're all divided on their independence movement, and that's it. That's all
Mhm.
they give a damn about. So they're not voting in line with anybody else in the country.
Yeah, and again, for me, to comment on someone else's country's politics is sort of a misnomer. I mean, you can opinionate on it because again, if you don't know about it, you're sort of like looking at the puzzle and saying, okay, so how is that in this? But for me, when you they have majority. Oh, so Daly is saying they have majority. Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah, it's just a fascination of how compacted Canada is, and yet it's so vast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it go the higher you go, the colder it gets. That I can understand. So I can understand why they stay within a certain distance for civilization. But you screw yourselves over when you have such a cluster demise of your, let's say, government as people can understand on a basic level, and it just screws you over, and you're stuck not doing anything about it, or they can throw you in jail for trying to stand up or whatever, and it's just like there's got to be enough people to do it, and that's been a sort of a perspective I had to look on the U.S. is like if people really wanted to change their country, you would have to have a majority of just speaking in the U.S. alone, you would have to have the majority of the U.S. pretty much camp out at the Capitol and just stay there until something changed. Because the only way things get to change is on the money affluence, right?
Yeah.
Because that seems to be well, we all know business deals with Congress and all that stuff. Maybe a few good ones, but those are like peanuts to everything else. America would literally have to crash its own economy to change something because it's nothing is happening right now in the sense of I get the voting and all this stuff. That's a grandeur notion. However, we've lived on the spaces of a system for quite a long time since the forming of the 13 colonies and then the Declaration of Independence and all this stuff. We're way past those days of that writing. The technology has changed on a drastic scale.
Mm-hmm.
The livability and all this stuff has changed on a drastic scale, and yet we haven't updated the rule book in order to keep up with it. I mean, we have to some degree, but not as much as we need to. And now we're at the basis of AI and all that stuff, and nowhere in our Constitution does it ever mention anything about AI or computers or whatever. And we're stuck with a body of people which we've given power to some degree, the states or whatever. We've given power to a body of people that can't get somewhere that works. And of course, that's just the operation of dealing with other people because different perspectives, whatever. And then you deal with the corruption factor, and then it's just a wash, just a total wash. I mean, that's for any other government too, in that manner.
So, what's good about what helps the United States so much is
Mhm.
elections are on a set schedule.
Right, 4 years, yeah.
4 years for president,
Mhm.
6 years for Senate, 2 years for Congress,
Right, yeah,
or for the House of Representatives.
right.
So it's known. Well, Canada can hold their election at any point as long as it doesn't exceed 5 years from the last election. Well, Same thing. Same thing with Ireland. Same thing with the UK. Same thing with France, Germany,
Jeez,
uh, Spain, Belgium, Netherlands. So Australia,
goodness.
all over the world, they just find out that there's, you know, the either the president or uh, the prime minister is like, all right, we're going to hold an election.
Mm.
Oh, okay. Um, we got 2 weeks to figure out who we're voting for. So that it it's kind of nice
Uh,
and it's kind of problematic. You
yeah.
don't get 2 years of people whining to get nominated for
Hmm.
the Democrat or Republican.
Hmm.
It so there's that,
Yeah,
but having a set,
mm,
when it's going to be
yeah.
is kind of nice in the U.S.
It still gets hijinks because we know senators who've been in there longer than 6 terms. So what does that say about being on time? It says that there's that, I mean, basically, I mean, it's on a very basic front of all this,
Mhm.
government and stuff. It's basically a human being or a group of human beings voting for a one person to uh, do dealings with a bunch of other human beings. At a basic point, that's all it is. It's a transference of a very small pieces of power to one that goes to a bigger circle that's supposed to be a affluence of power and then do something with it. What we would hope is something better, but we know as human beings that's not always the case. We have monarchies to show us of what happens when one person has too much power. I mean, it's not even just a monarchy, just kings and queens stuff all over the world.
Well, I mean, you go to like Eritrea, they've had the same dictator since 1991.
Mm-hmm.
And he's never going anywhere.
Yeah,
Uh, Venezuela just had, you know, an election.
yeah,
Well, there hasn't actually been anyone that's won an election since 1999 when
mm-hmm.
Hugo Chavez won.
Right.
When he died, Maduro just stepped in,
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, yeah, I'm the dictator now. Like,
Yeah.
and oh, yeah, I'm gonna hold an election, but uh, even though nobody voted for me, I'm gonna say I won, and if you disagree,
Uh,
we're just gonna kill you. So yeah, that was a fair election.
uh, it goes to show you the differences between a very. I mean, of course, then you could say like China. China has had theirs for a while. Russia has had theirs for a while, and so you can see the difference there. And yes, we could say, oh, we have our uh, systems and our checks and balances, but the issue of it is that, see, there's a thing where as a child, right, you are you see you like sweets, you like all this stuff, and you see the cookie jar, right? So, and the funny thing is where humans are really good at doing what they can in order to get what they want. The cookie jar, right? As a kid,
Mhm.
you wanted the cookie jar. So as a kid, you'll either find a ladder, something you can carry, you'll stack stuff, whatever. As long as the parents don't see you, as long as you can get away with it, you'll go for that cookie jar. It's the same thing with this being an adult, except there's more issues at hand than just a cookie jar. There's lives at
Yep.
stake, and we see that all over. And humans are very good. We see it all the time with, uh, stuff like what is it, the Barbara Streisand effect, right? They do this thing and they want to keep it hidden, and all of a sudden it just gets out there and it's blown over. People want to get away with things, and if they do get away with things, well, that's great. But if they try again and they don't, then it shows they weren't good. But it's that very nature where we have have adults not grown out of the one thing that we all seem to try to do is getting our hands in the cookie jar. And some people get greedy, they get caught, and they get dealt with. And sometimes they get caught and they don't get dealt with. And sometimes they never get caught, and you never hear about it until years later when the person's all gone, and the history books have already rewritten it that, oh yeah, this person was a great guy.
Yeah.
It's the silliness of it all. Oh my goodness. It's in Phoenix, it's not just November, it's every day of every week of every month. There is no, you have federal, you have state, and you have local where voting and stuff. And for me, again, going back to we had the rule book written for us a long time ago, a couple hundred years ago, but yet we haven't kept up with keeping it updated with what's going on now. Technology. So you know the arguments for and against the AI sort of thing, right? Your government will lag so far behind the technological aspect that by the time they get anywhere with any of this AI stuff or not, you'll already be having people landing back on the moon and trying to go to Mars from that point.
Mm-hmm.
The government's too slow. And now there's a point of contention saying, well, it needs to be so because you want things to be thought through, which is yes, we do want things to be thought through because we want there to be a form of wisdom, but we don't have that right now.
No,
we have a lot of kids trying to be, getting their hands in the cookie jar, and no one's going in and saying you need to stop, and I'm getting punished for it. No, we have a lot of kids in the cookie jar, or we have a lot of addicts in the government, and we the people to some degree kind of support that addiction.
Well, you have like Glitch McConnell or Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just call him Glitch. Just call him Glitch McConnell.
That's what he is. I mean, he's 90. You have Mr. Dementia that's been parading as the president for almost 4 years.
Pelosi.
Schumer.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. We need legitimate term limits on all those positions. And it's not just them, it's the bureaucracy as a whole. There's no reason that Fauci should have been in that position for 40 years, making 4 times as much money as the president. Well,
yeah,
or not 4 times, but twice as much as the president's salary, even though Trump didn't take a salary. What the president's salary is supposed to be. How the hell are you making that much money? Because you've held a government
position
job for 40 years. And then we come to find out all the horrible things that he did while he was there. And everyone's like, yeah, that makes sense. Fuck you.
Yeah. It lends itself to the what is the saying? It's not what you know, it's who you know. Yeah. And that's pretty much what government is it's not what you know, it's to some degree it aims at the what you know part, but it aims more at the who you know part. And that's where, as someone stated earlier, lobbying and all this stuff. And other countries buy into us, other countries lobbying us. At the end of the day, though, but the question is, you want term limits, right? Okay, tell me how you're going to get it. And get it within, say, a year. How are you going to get term limits within a year with the government you have? I'd like to know.
Exactly. You have to have, so in the United States, you have to have 3/4 of the House of Representatives and the Senate agree to term limits, and then it's got to go get then it's got to come down to the states and get 2/3 of the states to agree on it too. Okay, I see that a handful of congressmen will say yes, we need term limits. I agree with it. Well, cool. That's 5. We still need 400 more of you.
Yeah, exactly.
The only time they'll agree on anything
Yeah,
is pay raises.
exactly. Well, and other things too, not just pay raises, but other things
Well,
too.
yeah, bombing
Yeah,
brown people for oil.
wars,
Yeah,
how to get richer. There was a show. I think it was the MTV or VH1 or whatever. So lifestyles of the rich and famous, and that's pretty much what people in Congress are to some degree, is the lifestyles of the rich and famous.
yeah. I mean,
Unfortunately,
how do you go from having a servant, a civil servant position that pays $190,000 a year
Mhm.
to being worth over $100 million?
Mhm.
It's like, oh well, my husband was really good at investing, and all of the investments have to do with companies that you regulate, huh?
That's a
I
little red
mean,
flag.
that's really good. How do all the members of Congress beat the ever living shit out of the S&P 500
It's
when
to them
nobody
it
else can?
yeah, to them. So you could say the outside says it's a miracle, the inside says we just pulled the strings.
Yeah.
um, but before we go any further, is the top of the hour, and for those who don't know, at the hour of every hour I set aside some time for us to promote ourselves, because one, it's a sort of usually content creators, they do it at the beginning, they do it at the end, or they do like sporadically out throughout. I just do it like as a time measurement, right? Oh, so we're at an hour, been here for that long, which has been great. It's been awesome. But it's just to kind of remind ourselves it's been this time. Let's promote ourselves and kind of go on. So I did. And I did find the links that you had, because you're mostly just on um, Twitter, X, and Rumble. So those are the ones I put in. If there are any other links you want put in there, just DM me and I'll put them in there. But yeah, if you'd like to promote yourself, good sir, the floor is yours.
So yeah, I'm only on Rumble. YouTube and Twitch have booted me years ago, so I'm only on Rumble.
Mhm.
You can find me at rumble.com/Crazy Goffo for my news streams.
Mhm.
And then you can find me on rumble.com/Goffo Gaming.
Mhm.
And I play a lot of old school
Ooh,
Doom, Quake,
nice.
Duke Nukem, Marathon. I picked up, I started playing Marathon
Mhm.
recently, which was obviously Bungie's
Oh,
3D shooter before Halo, which is
okay.
really good. So I've been playing a lot of. I tried playing the more modern new games,
Right.
and they're
Yeah.
fucking annoying. So
Yeah.
I went back to the stuff I know. I've played the FPS genre on
Mhm.
stream from Maze War
Mhm.
from 1973
Mhm.
to yeah, I'm going. The Wolfenstein series I've played from the 1981
Mhm.
Castle Wolfenstein all the way to actually I just started the modern Wolfenstein series.
Ooh, wow.
So I've
Okay.
played all the way through the first 5 games, and I'm on
Mhm.
the 6th Wolfenstein game now.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I play a different game every day,
Oh, okay.
or not. I try to play like Doom on Mondays, Quake on Tuesdays,
Mhm.
the Half-Life series on Thursdays normally.
Nice. Yeah, I really, between my full-time job and this, I usually don't have enough time to play any game.
Yeah, I have 2 radio shows a day uh, for the rest of this week, and then it's back down to 1 radio show a day
Mhm.
next week. So I'll be able to get my schedule back to normal, because I have like 15 minutes between radio and a stream and a radio and a stream, and it's like by the time I'm done,
Yeah.
I've been on behind the mic for over 12 hours.
Jeez.
So I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I couldn't. I couldn't do the whole full time thing because one, I'm not making them off to even be a thought of, but also it's just it would take out of the enjoyment of doing the things I enjoy doing, which is getting to talk to people like you. So let me go on from my end of things, and of course his links are down in the description below. I'll try to get the gaming one. I'll have to get the link for that. But anyway, guys, whether you're on YouTube or Rumble, if you wouldn't mind liking, sharing this or any of my short stuff, I think shorts are a little easier to share, or leaving a comment or leaving a follow, because all that engagement factor stuff, right? It helps with not only being seen more, but having more people on, like Crazy Goffo or Wicca or so many other people, because I just had my 100th person on Friday, and I didn't start really doing this, whole, filling up the month sort of thing until April, but I had sporadic throughout, and it's been a fun enjoyment. There are some people you get to know, some people you get to know about more and have back on again, and some people are only one timer. Just how life works, and unfortunately that's the case sometimes, but yeah, the engagement factor helps on both ends. And of course, if you'd like to be on, or if you'd like to know where to find me, I have a link tree down below in the description. Right there, it'll say it, linktree/Daramouthe. It'll take you to my places like YouTube or Rumble, or I have a Twitter X, I have a Discord, mostly just for DMing, and I have an email. If you'd like to come on, either go to those three places like Twitter X, Discord, or email, or just leave a comment on either YouTube, Rumble. We can get started, because again, the month of September is filling up. I have a few days left to fill. I just put it this way: I don't have to do this whole month thing, right? I don't. Oh,
I don't know what. All right.
Oh, your camera went out. Anyway, just as we're talking too. But anyway, what was that? There we go. Okay, now he's back.
That was weird.
Miracles happen.
I was just about to say I need to use the restroom real quick. I've been
you're fine.
chugging coffee all day. I'll be right back.
If you need to use restroom, that's fine. Just let me know when you're back up. All right. But anyway, yes. I just had my 100th person. And I'm looking forward to the many people. Again, I don't have to fill up a month. I could just do like what other content creators do once a week, so many weeks. But my thing is, there are so many different people out there, so many different perspectives, and to get the opportunity, now they get the chance and the opportunity to talk to them is a wonder. Yeah, I'm not gonna get 1,000 people watching me. I don't know if I'll ever get 1,000 people watching me or whatever. But the point of the matter is to get this chance to reach out to people who, creators, not creators, doesn't really matter if you're big or small. The point of the matter is we get to reach out and chat with each other about whatever, and we get to learn a little bit, and we get to enjoy life a bit, and that's what counts. That's what matters to me. So I know. So I'll just say I know people look at their follow numbers, likes, and all this stuff. It plays the part of that whole engagement factor. There's a lot of people who, I've got this, and let's go on to the next goal. For me, it's I got 100 different people on. Some may never come back on. However, I got that moment with us, and I get to say I got 100 different people back on with maybe less than a year's time. And I'm starting to fill up September. September's almost full, and we'll see how the rest of the year goes. It's just that's beyond the conversation with other people, and of course, all right, I'll bring you back up. Beyond the conversation of having with other people on, but also doing my stuff like Dara's Hangout Den, where I bring people who've been on before, and I kind of crossover, cross pollinate with other people, because we do kind of get stuck in our spheres, and we're really not chatting beyond, entertainment or just politics or whatever, and we just kind of get stuck in these things. And so I like to be able to cross people over and just have those conversations. Or something new I'm going to start in November. It's going to be it's going to be like my own form of a Rumble roundtable. It's going to be called Rumble Square. But but I know Lumpy does his. But it'll be the Rumble Squared will be open to people who have been on, who use Rumble but haven't been on as a guest, or people who are interested in wanting to use Rumble but don't know too much about it. And I get feelings for why streaming to other platforms. Like I know you said you were kind of slapped off by Twitch and YouTube, but I've been very grateful that I still have both, or at least I still have Rumble and YouTube. And I do think that we do kind of need to showcase Rumble off, because part of the stories I keep hearing, and this is mostly just from YouTubers wanting to come over and use it amongst the other platforms, is that it doesn't have enough reach and it doesn't have enough money. And we all know the amount of money people get paid for on YouTube, which is part of that Google ordeal, right? Like it is just what it is. But for me, the reason why I multi-platform myself, regarding anyone else's reason why they do for theirs, is to build a safety net, right? Like if one goes down, I have the other, and all that stuff. And maybe one day I'll add more to it, but for right now, I'm just streaming to both, and it seems to be working out so far. I'm not making any money in YouTube. I haven't even hit that point, but I've been grateful. I've been very grateful for not only the people, but all the bonus stuff I get for just having these people on. Rumble Round Square. No, it's just gonna be Rumble Square, Dave. I'm not gonna come up Rumble Round Square. Just Rumble Square. Just Rumble Square is fine. I'm trying not to add too much. Just be simple, be precise. That's it. What were you gonna say?
So, for my deal with the argument, or from people on YouTube that don't want to come to Rumble, I know this was brought up with Tim Pool. He did this whole argument for the longest time.
Yep.
That he's going to lose
money.
He's not going to make the the $20+ million a year that he's making on YouTube, on Rumble. Well, for the debate, he multi-streamed because he knew YouTube was going to nuke him.
Right.
Well, YouTube didn't nuke him, which was amazing. But he didn't have any drop on his YouTube views. He had more views on Rumble, and he made more donations in Rumble than he made on YouTube. So he went ahead and continued doing it for a week, and he got twice as many views and twice the donations. Plus, you actually get to keep a very significant portion of your donations on Rumble versus YouTube.
Yep.
So, yeah, okay, I'm not going to make the ad revenue. Okay, that's fine. I understand that, but when like gun tubers, they're not monetized, or their content's not monetized. So what YouTube money are you making other than your sponsors that are paying you for eyeballs?
Yeah.
Okay. They're paying you for eyeballs. Why the hell are you only limiting it to YouTube eyeballs when Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, as much as I don't, care for BitChute or Odyssey, those are more eyeballs that aren't on. I know a lot of people here on Rumble that never go to YouTube. They don't watch anything on YouTube anymore. So they're not going to see you there, but they'll see you here.
Yeah.
So and for gamers, I completely understand, especially with Rumble Studio, being able to stream to, Twitch, YouTube, wherever.
Yeah.
You can do that for free.
Yeah.
So it's a great way for you to get, okay, 1 or 2 views on Twitch. Congratulations. Versus, dozens, or, in my case, I'll get over 100, 100 people live in my chat on Rumble. Well, I see the same games that I'm playing over on Twitch, and you get 20 people playing it and 15 people watching all those streams combined.
Yeah.
Why would I bother?
Right, and it's my thing has always been do what's, as a creator, you do what's best for you, because only you know that, and you kind of just have to go with that flow regardless of what anyone tries to tell you. For me, my thing becomes is, okay, so you won't try this other platform because of money or stuff, but yet when you get demonetized, you don't make any money until you get the repeal back or whatever. So what as you said, what money are you making if your video gets deleted and you didn't even know it? Because YouTube can do that. What money are you making? My thing for multi-platforming oneself, regardless of what platform you go on, is the fact that if you're only on one platform, that platform has all the power.
Yep.
They have you by the balls, is basically what I'm saying. And they can squeeze as hard as they want. They can do whatever they want to, because where else are you going to go? Right? Yeah. You're not built up anywhere else. And if you're trying a singular platform, like there's someone I know, UB Legend, he's trying, he's been streaming to Rumble for a while, and then he wanted to go to Twitch and try that out, which, good for him, right? You want him to try new things. People kind of got a bit on him on that, because all that stuff. And for me, it's like, look, this dude
that's his prerogative.
Yeah, it's his right in essence to do that, and I wouldn't go up against anybody who wants to try anything else, because for me, I support more on Rumble because I can do more, right? Like on YouTube, just speaking on YouTube, right? In order to say more, right? In order to say more character wise, like the wording and stuff, you have to pay more. So $2 gets you like 50 characters, right? The higher you go, the more you get. Rumble, whether it's $1, whether it's $500, the same character amount exists throughout.
Yep.
Why cannot not be the case? It doesn't make sense. I mean, yeah, you can have people spam $1, but why wouldn't you want them to do that? Oh, great, you got me another $1. Yay, thanks.
So I had I was one of the gun tubers before gun tuber was a word.
Right.
And I was a part of the mass nuking after Sandy Hook.
Ooh.
So that was over 10 years ago. And YouTube didn't, send out this email. They didn't call, we didn't get, our ambassador even tell us. It was just, well, my Gmail doesn't work. Like they didn't nuke the videos and the channels. They nuked your entire Google account. And that was, back then, like a dumbass, I used my Gmail to do all my YouTube business for all my sponsors, newsletters, all that crap back then. So all of that got 86 immediately. And that pissed me off. There was no alternative platform back then. I mean, what, Vimeo that nobody still watches and still charges you to upload?
Vimeo, Daily Motion. There's that one. Yeah, there was nothing like what we have now. Yeah.
So that really, really pissed me off.
Mm-hmm.
But I would upload privately videos of my son's wheelchair rugby tournaments
Mm-hmm.
for the other parents, right?
Oh, oh.
You know, we'd just film them
Mm-hmm.
so the parents could watch and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a few years ago, YouTube said that those videos were promoting violence against disabled people. And deleted all those videos.
Oh, wow.
They're, for one, private, but it's wheelchair rugby. It's an Olympics. It's a Paralympic sport.
Right.
My son debuts this Thursday playing it.
Jeez.
The promoting violence. It's now called wheelchair rugby. It used to be called murder ball. So if you want to say anything about violence, that was always the great thing for me. Is it's like, oh wow, your two-legged son plays football. That's great.
Uh-huh.
My son in a wheelchair plays murder ball. Fuck you.
Oh my god. Oh, there you go. Phoenix Phoenix says, congratulations to your son. Rugby's beautiful. Yes, the regular rugby is beautiful.
I'm well aware of how brutal it is. My legs, my knees don't work. My back does. My back hurts like ever living hell. I have metal. Well, most of that's from various accidents, but I have cables holding my ribs together from rugby. So I played professionally for 12 years.
Goodness sake. Yeah, and that's like I don't even think you get a mouthpiece. You just go.
Yeah.
We do.
The mouthpiece was a part of the concussion protocol in the 90s. And then they started putting so your forwards, the guys in the scrum, will have padding on their shoulders. It's like about a quarter of an inch thick of foam under their shirt. So
yeah, it's very dastardly in how brutal they can get in rugby. But I mean, it's probably one of the toughest sports I know so far to be like that, unless you like soccer. But that's a different subject altogether.
So if I'm not wearing pads.
Yeah.
So I'm not going full blown to wreck you, because that's going to hurt me too.
Yeah.
Versus like American football, where you're all padded up and you think you're indestructible and you're just going full blown.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, I'm going to pull up a little. Well, for one, I'm going to be a lot more calculated in how I take you down.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a whole different. Thank God I was a back. I'm small.
Yeah.
Obviously, clothes fit a lot differently.
Yeah.
Since I retired, but I was fast.
Right.
I got the ball. I ran.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to not ever get tackled. I didn't want to get hit. I don't want to be in the violence.
Right. So you sound like you were Forrest Gumping it right there. You were just trying to. You ran with the ball.
Tried like hell.
Goodness. Oh, look at that. I'm Nibs.
Still lovable.
But yeah, coming back to YouTube stuff. I mean, I when you build on that manner and get the monetization and all that stuff for the YouTube, I can understand trying to. And of course, we can use Tim Pool, right? Because of course, there are times where Tim Pool's going to cut the stream and he's going to direct it to his website. Which at this point is like, why not just do it directly from your website because
Yeah.
you have that. But no, he still wants the YouTube money, which to many content creators, whether they're 10,000, 100,000, whatever, it's still too sweet. And for me, it's like that just shows what kind of grip Google has on you as a content creator,
So
right? And you add the algorithm to that portion, forget it. Forget it.
So think about Temple. You know, he needs that $20 million plus from YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, you got to remember it's a 50-50 split. YouTube doesn't need that $20 million. They don't give a fuck about him. They don't care about that $20 million. It means nothing to them. They will nuke him and it won't affect them one bit. So he needs to realize that. Okay. And I get it. That kind of money and ad revenue is insane.
Yep.
It's going to be for him to lose that. It's not just him. It's his producers, the camera operators, his news, his reporters. It's everyone that will lose a job. So he should never have been so reliant on it.
When you have content creators like that, and it could be on Twitch too, right? Twitch has had its own issues. When you build a reliance on only one platform, you, again, like I said, you give them power over you. You essentially say, look, my pants are down.
Looks after his chickens.
Oh, look, he has Chicken City, and he also has a skateboard park, I believe. I mean, and again, glad he was able to multi-stream and stuff. At the end of the day, it took him to that point for that long with YouTube to finally say, "Oh, we'll finally do it." Oh, I think he was on Crowder's show and he got asked about it because Crowder's sort of been. What are your thoughts on him as a person is different from his support of Rumble and stuff. And yes, they did start with a deal. Don't know if they still have a contractual deal, but at the end of the ball, when you limit yourself to one platform, you essentially give them squeezing rights to your balls, and you could say it's all yours. And when you have someone like Tim Pool who's built his empire, right? Because I'm pretty sure his website came far after his using of YouTube. You give them that power, and Google, YouTube, right? We know the stories of they've been called a monopoly now, so we'll see how that goes. But I mean, they're an ungoverned power, so good luck with that. Google is global, right? Google is so bad that it has the power to change votes.
Yes, worldwide.
Yes. There's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Epstein, and he, they do stuff. They recently made a website called America's Digital Shield, trying to keep an eye on, say, Twitter X, Facebook, Google, YouTube, all this stuff, to show that there are some things that the little trickeries of the algorithm does that you don't want, and especially with kids and stuff, it just do all this stuff. It's an unofficial government player, but it's more powerful than the government itself, and it's been unchecked for a very long time. But a majority of people around the world rely on it, and so when I can say, okay, so what is the number one search engine in the world? And of course, your answer would be Google, right? Now, when I say what's the number two search engine in the world, your answer is going to be YouTube. So we know Google owns YouTube. So that right there tells you that that's the most. I don't know what the third one is, but that doesn't matter because
Amazon.
Once you own the top two spots, who give a rat's behind?
Well, so it was because Chris brought it up, or no, it was Rick that brought it up. How do we get to a
No,
squeaker?
no. Talk out of your own butt.
It was Rick that brought it up.
Mm.
That 4 of the top 5 search engines
Oh,
are Google, or not Google, but Alphabet,
Alphabet. Yeah,
which is the parent company.
yeah. Well,
So
I still just say Google because at this point that's what it is. It's just a front. What I would think. But go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, so it's just amazing to think. Everyone's like, "Oh, DuckDuckGo." It's like, well, DuckDuckGo is they're still getting their search results from Google.
Mm.
Brave Search
Mm.
still has Google Analytics attached to it,
Right.
mainly because even Brave is Chromium,
Yeah.
and Chromium is open source
Yeah. Yeah.
browser, and
Mm.
it's great. It's a very powerful tool,
Yes.
but Google pays for it to maintains it.
Mm.
Google pays to maintain Firefox.
Yeah, that I've heard of. Yeah.
So, or not, not Firefox, but Gecko is the infrastructure that Firefox is built on.
Oh, okay.
So, that's 98% of browsers are run by Google.
Mm-hmm. I would say though is that because of the recent, yeah, because of the news of like what was it, YouTube going to do like ad loads on the side of the server, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Brave still blocks ads.
Yeah.
So it's a hand that bites its. I would say it's a hand that bites creators. So I wouldn't go as far as to say it's totally Google, but I can understand because of the Chromium factor. But at the end of the day, when they can say we're going to keep working to block those ads, and they continually do it, I gotta give them credit for that.
Yeah,
I give them credit for
that. It's Brave is wonderful. I use Brave
same
almost exclusively.
Yeah.
I do for various reasons on different computers.
Right.
Use different browsers.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one Windows machine left. All of my Mac OS and all of my other Windows machines are now running various distros of Linux.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. I'm slowly but surely
Right.
disconnecting from them.
Yeah, and that's understandable. Although some people don't have that same luxury because they're not as knowledgeable as one would say. But yeah, I don't know. I just when that I've seen people bring up that excuse, that thing before of it's they use Chromium and all this stuff. I'm like, but yeah, but they still allow you to block YouTube ads. Even Chrome, right, which is Google's
Mm-hmm.
thing. They took off the what do they call them? The things that you expansions or whatever. What is that?
Extensions.
Extensions. That's right. Extensions. They even took off the extensions to block that, or they kept running into shutting those things down. When the story came out that they were going to do side loading into the servers for ad stuff, Brave was like, "We're still going to block those suckers."
Yeah.
And even for the what was it, the something about V3 or something like that, like a version 3 or whatever. So when you have a company say that and they still use the open source system of Chromium, which as you stated is, that's brass. That's brassy right there. And I'm not here to convince you either way. I'm just here to say that when someone says, "Oh, it's part of the Chromium," they use Chromium, whatever. But yeah, but they still block the ads of YouTube, and and again, YouTube is not a big earner for Google. It's actually a loser, but in a way, it's a big earner because it's a data mine.
Yes.
For Google. And that's the funny thing, right? So you could put all this content on there. only to realize that your stuff is a data treasure trove that you
Mhm.
give freely, and no one and barely anyone reads the UELA, right? Like
Yeah,
everyone
no.
just press agree. Everyone just press agrees with that. But we all do that with all the stuff, whether it be any company really where that comes up, because we're just like, we don't have the time. It's all legalese. No one wants to read legalese. You're just gonna boom, boom, done.
Thankfully, I'm in a world in the type of work that I do. I have to read those,
Mhm.
and it's disturbing the shit that's in there. And I'm like, well, I don't want that. And thankfully, today we have open source
Mhm.
uh, projects that can very much replace damn near
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Um, so, but I have, whatever I'm using, whatever tool I'm using to do whatever work I'm doing,
Right.
even the open source ones, I have to read the license
Yep.
on because it can either prevent me from either monetizing it later on or whatever.
Mm.
So uh, that's just something I have to deal with.
Yeah.
Most people won't, and most people, you're right, just say accept, 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 accept.
Yep.
When your iPhone
Yeah.
uh, update,
Yeah.
you have to hit accept 3 or 4 times
Uh-huh.
just to do the damn update. You're like, should I read this? It's like, I'm a developer, so
Yeah.
I get a completely different
Ooh, okay. I see
uh,
what you're saying.
end user agreement.
Yeah.
But as a farmer, I
Yeah.
have to. So I don't use John Deere anything because you have to you don't own your equipment.
Interesting.
It's a license. I can't. My neighbors can't work on their combine. They have to call John Deere in the middle of harvest.
Jeez.
Well, that shit doesn't work for me.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Um, when I have 340 acres of corn that needs to come up,
Wow.
I have to get it done. And if there's a malfunction, I got to be able to fix it. And uh, John Deere has locked out their version of of GPS auto steer, and if it disconnects with the satellite, well,
Jeez.
um, call John Deere.
Yeah.
They'll be there in a few days to reset it. Versus with me, I just
Yeah.
pull up the laptop,
Yeah.
I hop in,
Uh-huh.
figure out it's like, oh, okay, just got us out of sync. Let me
Uh-huh.
connect to uh, the atomic clock, and boom, I'm back up and running.
Goodness. Yeah. Going back to the email thing, it's funny, that Google, YouTube, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
requires you to have a Gmail account in order to even have a YouTube account.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's, I mean, not there are platforms that they don't require that. I mean, they require an email, but not a specific email that's of their platform. Like for me, I do have that, and of course, I have an email through, uh, iCloud, and
Mm-hmm.
of course, I have my old AOL, but there's things that are tied to it that I don't remember, and so I have to like, oh, what's tied to this? But for me, I went with Proton.
Yes, I pay for Proton as well.
I pay. Now there is a free portion of it, sure, and it's very limited. So what Phoenix said is true in the sense of that. But for me, when you have a company like Proton, right, and they're offering
Mm-hmm.
different stuff, they have their password manager, they have their
Mm-hmm.
what is it, their drive,
Yes.
Proton Drive,
Yep, I
Calendar, all
use
this
that.
stuff. And they just added docs to the Proton Drive as well.
Mhm.
And of course, it's like I got in on a deal, and it was like $48 a year for me.
Okay.
Is what the deal is, because I pay for a full year,
Mhm.
and I use it because there's a lot of stuff it offers. If a email comes in and they'll sometimes say, "Oh, this it doesn't match up," or it might be spam, whatever. But where when you can have an email system, in essence, tell you that, that's a good sign, and you want something like that. And again, I understand if it's free, you're the product, but they do provide a good product tryout. And again, I pay for it because of all the extra stuff too. There's the storage. I think you get like half a gigabyte, and I think every year
I
they
think it's
actually
5. I think they upped it a few years ago to 5 gigs on free. Um, I
oh,
uh, I pay for
yeah,
the full, or the enterprise, or not
yeah,
enterprise but pro version of it,
yeah, yeah,
uh, because I multiple emails
yeah, yeah.
that
Oh
I can
yeah.
run just through Proton,
Hmm.
so which is tremendously helpful. But
Yeah.
when we were beta testing for Rumble Cloud,
Hmm.
uh, that was uh, limited to very specific developers
Yep.
in the Rumble community.
Hmm.
Um, the UI, is very. It's a whole hell of a lot easier than AWS's UI.
Yeah.
So it's not as customizable, but we don't need it because uh, we're not paying by the use
Right.
like we were with AWS or with Google Cloud.
Hmm.
Um, Definitely not like Azure from Microsoft, because that
Yep.
shit's outrageously expensive. So I I pay a set amount
Hmm.
per month or for Rumble Cloud,
Hmm.
and I can exceed
Yeah.
my cap without
Hmm.
getting penalized. Now, obviously, I can't continue doing that forever,
Yeah.
but if all of a sudden I have a massive spike in usage
Yeah.
one month, they're not going to penalize me like AWS would.
Yeah.
So I'm saving a tremendous amount of money, and obviously they put out this 40% discount
Yeah. Yeah.
last month,
Hmm.
which was like, oh damn it, I don't get that, but you know what, I'm okay with it,
Hmm.
because uh, I have just over 700 terabytes being used just on Rumble Cloud, handling uh, my storage of various projects that I've worked on that I need
Right.
to be able to retrieve
Yep.
at some point, and then apps.
Hmm.
I just have them all running in Rumble Cloud now, and I don't have to manage uh, these spikes from AWS anymore. So uh,
Yeah.
there's I'm not saying yes, everyone rush over and give Rumble everything, but
It's worth a try.
um, I don't want to get you know uh, parlored.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to worry about uh, like Kick. Kick is a big one.
Cake and
Everyone
Twitch.
wants everyone wants to go to Kick. Well, Kick is on AWS,
Hmm. Yeah.
just like LiveSpace was.
Hmm.
Well, LiveSpace got priced out of it because AWS like, no, you're taking up too much bandwidth, so we're going to keep upping the price on you every single month until
Hmm.
you're out of money and you're gone. Twitch, because Twitch is, Amazon's little,
Side project.
bitch boy.
Yeah.
So if Kick is taking up too much of their bandwidth, or their user base, or the content creators are switching over there, Amazon's going to be like, you know what? Peace out. You're gone.
Yeah.
Why would you build your infrastructure on a competitor platform? And I BitChute and Odyssey switched over to Rumble. I'd love to believe that Chris is always going to be open to having competitors use their infrastructure,
right?
But how long is that going to be?
Well, the thing with and that could be said about any of them though. But I mean, with Odyssey, they're building the decentralization part, and while that's great, my question's always been, okay, but what are you going to do about the ISP factor?
Yeah,
right. Because ISPs are the gatekeeper
yes.
of you getting on the internet. Who's the decentralization for that? Right? There's nothing of that regard. I mean, you can have Starlink, sure, but that's still Elon's. Starlink is Elon's.
So I Starlink.
Right.
So it still has to come back down to Earth. And it then goes through, for me, it goes through AT&T fiber. So it doesn't matter if Elon's, completely chill with, free speech. We know AT&T's not. So, DNS protections, top level domains are, for the United States, your local government controls it. We've seen that in Venezuela where they just, cut off X. In France, they just arrested the Telegram.
CEO. Telegram CEO. Yep, I saw that too.
They've blocked YouTube or Rumble. They've blocked Rumble in Brazil.
Yeah.
The government can do it to anybody. It doesn't matter. So I'd love to, think that we could just build an infrastructure, but we can't. It's managed by government, no matter what.
Well, and just to put the thought process out there, right? To build a decentralized ISP, right? The thing that allows us to connect to the internet is such it'd be on the same thought process as flying cars, right? We were told flying cars and stuff. When you have someone like Odyssey who's trying to decentralize their stuff, great. That server stuff, you have Web3, all this stuff. What happens when they can't connect to you anymore at all?
Yeah.
Same with BitChute, same with Rumble. Any of these platforms are beholden. All of us are beholden to the ISPs because internet's great. We can do a lot of. It's a tool that's good or bad. We can do a lot of good with it and all this stuff. And the electricity. Yeah, and electricity too. Once electricity's gone, we're all screwed. There's no more configuration. But we're just on this matter of ISPs, and that was something I had brought up in a conversation, which is like, what about ISP? We want to talk about decentralizing servers. Your crap isn't worth it if they can just shut you down from being ever entered to. They can shut down that.
icann runs all top level domain, second level domain.
Yep.
icann run or manages all of it, and it's 7 people that have the key. So there's 7 people that own the key, that hold the key to shut down the entire internet, and you don't think the governments know precisely how to do that. I was like, oh shit. So I hate to sound like that, but it's a reality.
it's a truth that I don't think anyone thinks about. Everyone thinks about, decentralizing server stuff, right? Because
Mhm.
that's the next step. But it should be about you just getting access to the internet at all.
Yeah.
Like, great for Elon and the Starlink stuff, but that's limiting because that's satellite, and you have to be at a right position. You are paying him to enter
Mhm.
into the internet. That's not decentralized. That's just under Elon, and people die.
Mhm.
Ideas can live forever. Don't get me wrong, but people can die. Chris is not going to live forever, and
No.
Rumble will change hands of the CEO. So what then, right? We've already seen what happens with YouTube. We all saw
Yes.
the story of Susan. I kind of feared, she was leaving YouTube for a reason. We just found out that reason because she had cancer. But the ideas change with the people who are in charge. It's not decentralized. You've got to start with the door first, and then you can go beyond that point. Otherwise, all you're doing is playing hot potato. And I'm here
Mhm.
to tell you, it's going to land in your hand sooner or later, and it's either going to burn it or you're going to pass it on. And no one's having those conversations about decentralizing. And like you were just pointing out, like, what is even the thought of decentralizing an ISP? I'm saying it, and I've never heard it anywhere else.
It, hey, you can't decentralize it. It's just not a not a
Reality,
possibility.
yeah,
Um,
because of what we have set up. Our system that's set up is what you're basically saying. Our system that's set up is not set up for it. So no matter what decentralizing you can do on the scope of server stuff, beyond that point, it's shite. Is
yeah.
basically what it is. It's talk. It's great talk to rally the troops and all this stuff, but it's shite at the end of the day when a government can just block you from accessing it at all.
Hmm.
And you can say about the VPN stuff, but even VPNs can be blocked. And just imagine, right? Just imagine if uh, I think it's Brazil, right? That's was or is it Venezuela that X got kicked out? I can't remember which one. Uh,
Venezuela. Well,
Venezuela.
yeah. No, they were kicked out of Brazil too.
Okay. So just imagine. So let's just stick with Venezuela. Imagine your government shuts down all form of communication
Hmm.
out. No internet. Phones don't work. I mean, you could try a smoke signal, but someone's gonna be there with a fire extinguisher. But just imagine your government shuts down all form of communication. What's decentralization on the server gonna do for you?
Well, I mean, so North Korea, they they have an internet. China has the Great
Yeah.
Firewall.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not just those two. I mean, it's all
Russia
over.
probably. Yeah.
I'm working on a project in a communist country. So, for me to communicate with the hardware over
Mm.
there in that factory,
Yeah.
it's an absolute pain in the ass.
I believe it.
But without me being right here
Mm-hmm.
and working out some quick bug,
Mm-hmm.
that factory shut down, and products get delayed, and then other factories that use their products
Yeah.
are shut down. So it's
It.
the globalization that has occurred
Mm-hmm.
is insane. We had uh, so one of the industry suppliers, they pushed out a a quarterly patch uh, update to all the equipment,
Mm-hmm.
and it was absolute garbage, and it
Mm-hmm.
shut down about 2/3 of factories in the world. It was we didn't. It didn't make the news. It was just a, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, 90 plus hours, no sleep, just cranking out, fixing these codes. And it was hundreds of engineers working together on this. So that was, 4 days of zero production being done around the world. And it went from, textile factories to automotive, munitions factories. There's pretty much every industry was affected by it, and
Yeah.
it didn't affect everyday trade like the crowdsource or not crowdsource CrowdStrike situation. Where, oh my god, the airlines are fucked.
Yep.
Like, well,
Yeah.
yay. There's your Windows XP update.
Yeah. And Phoenix has some point here is if there's no internet, then the entire healthcare system is screwed with every being electronic.
Yes.
Not just healthcare, all businesses are
Yes.
screwed. We have created tools on which we become self-reliant on to help convenience, help to make the business run smoother, better, just try to get the work down. What we haven't realized is, and this was proven during the C-19 when the supply chain got disrupted, is that our systems, to any degree, are on a blade of a knife.
Yes.
And one wrong blow of the wind will shatter us into thousands of pieces blowing in the wind and just dust all around. We are on a very fragile. CrowdStrike again proved how fragile our system is. Our systems, right? It's a bunch of different. But the problem of it is this is no different than video sharing platforms. This is no different than any other platforms out there. We are on the edge of a knife, and all it takes is one wrong move, one wrong slip, and we're pretty much dead in the water. You want us? Okay, we can say the electricity and EMP, all this stuff. We're in the Stone Age. One wrong move on the internet scale, forget it. Forget it. You want to see Armageddon? You don't need meteors. You don't need volcanoes exploding. All you need is one little switch with the internet, and boom.
Well, think about with the CrowdStrike thing. How many people were unable to trade or in the stock market? The stock market just came to a complete halt. So you're like, well, we don't have a paper system anymore, so we're fucked.
Yeah, and Phoenix brings up a question of do you think CrowdStrike was really an accident or something more nefarious?
It was completely an accident. I know quite a few others that have done it as well, because it affected my local systems. So I very much wanted to look into figuring out what the hell happened, and it's just a fuck up, and that's what's really scary is how easily a little mistake can destroy us. If it was nefarious,
it'd been worse.
Yeah, we it's you can only laugh at it because if it was to happen, there's nothing.
No.
I'm glad I've got animals.
Yeah.
So everyone that's invested in gold and silver, and I very much believe in that, but when shit hits the fan, you can't eat gold.
Can't eat silver. Yeah, we can eat, you can eat with silver though. That's a different.
I have beef. I have pork. You can, yeah. I've got something that you can actually eat and survive on. So
Yeah. Well, and that comes to a much scarier thought too, is with countries and nuclear weapons
yeah,
and all that comes with that. At that point, it don't matter if you have animals or not. Too many nukes,
yeah.
end of the world right there.
Uh, I know this was brought up when the F-35 uh, went missing
Right,
in
yeah.
Carolina. That it was they admitted that this $1 trillion plane
Mhm.
has Windows XP 32-bit running it, and then they come to find out that it still has the default Windows XP admin password for it. Like, are you? Why the hell did you admit that, for one?
I
And
got, yeah.
so now I get it that uh, NORAD was pissed the fuck off at the
Mhm.
movie War Games
Yeah.
when it came out, because they're like, well, NORAD's nowhere near that technologically advanced, and it
Mhm.
still isn't. And that
Yeah.
movie came out 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Would you
our,
like
our,
to
our,
play a
our, our
game?
nukes our nukes are programmed with ladder logic still, and that's a language that I have to work with. That's almost 100 years old.
Oh,
It's a simple language. It's not simple by no means. Jesus Christ, it's a fucking pain in the ass. It's
right.
archaic, but it's just relays and contactors.
Yep.
It's incredibly simple the way it's done, and that's a good thing, because a virus isn't going to affect it.
Yeah.
That's great, but kind of freaks you out.
One wrong signal and no more Merry Christmas. Well, it'd be Merry Christmas, but it'd be for a very long time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think when you start just having the thought experiment about that stuff, right? Especially
Mm-hmm.
with CrowdStrike and all that stuff. Again, we're all on a very sharp blade that's teetering at any second of any day. And we again we saw with C19, we saw with the CrowdStrike. We're seeing all this other we're going into this stuff all now. We've built our stuff, right? Our tools and stuff on the electronic value on just on face value. It's just stuff that works, right? We just do it to get it done, to get it going so we can get business going. We don't think the afterthought
Yeah.
of it. We think about we gotta get the business, we gotta get it out now, blah 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 blah, all that stuff. And yet you just saw what happened with CrowdStrike. Do you
Mm.
think that changed a lot of people's minds? Because I'm not hearing any change.
So, I know I was talking to um, someone else over the weekend,
Mhm.
that the um, Mint distro, the Pop OS distro,
Mhm.
um, or Ubuntu and Debian
Mhm.
distros
Mhm.
are seeing massive spikes in installs. So it's not just because of the CrowdStrike issue,
Mhm.
but anybody, if you have Windows 10,
Mhm.
end of life is scheduled.
Yeah, as always. Yeah.
If your computer is not up to par to have Windows 11,
Mhm.
your Windows computer is going to be dead,
Yep.
or not dead. It's going to be uh,
Uh,
it's going to be
Stuck.
a very easy to break into
Yeah.
for bad actors, and we know what um, ransomware has done to people that didn't update their security, didn't do their security updates
Mm-hmm.
in the past. So everyone's waking up being like, well, I'm not going to spend $3,000 on a new PC
Mm-hmm.
to run Windows 11.
Mm-hmm.
Screw it. I'm going to go to Linux Mint, Pop OS, Arc,
Ubuntu.
any Ubuntu or Debian
Mm-hmm.
distro, and it's amazing seeing how many people are switching all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to happen even more so the closer and closer we get to the end of life for Windows 10,
Mm-hmm.
because a vast more than 80% of Windows PCs are running Windows 10 still,
Mm-hmm.
because they're not capable of running 11.
Yeah.
Sorry about your bad luck.
Yeah, you have to. I had to update my system to. So I was upgrading my PC. I've made my own PCs, and so I had to buy a whole new CPU just to upgrade to Windows 10 because you couldn't go from 7 to 10 because it wouldn't allow that. And so I had to get a better CPU and all that stuff, and it cost me a little more. I mean, the biggest chunk of your pricing for your computer is going to be CPU. Your actually more going to be the OS, but OS, CPU, and maybe your graphics cards if you get one. But yeah, most of these computers just do the near basics of what's necessary, and after that you're gonna have to spend thousands upon, and for me to think of a business of big ones, right, they're not going to spend hours upon hours moving over to Linux. They're going to keep with what is because it's easier, all this stuff, whatever is convenient, whatever is easier, right, they'll stick with it because the CrowdStrike only proved one point, is that our system is very, very vulnerable. And yet people will still continue on the path of using stuff because it's just what they're used to. And that's the, what is it, the saying, you can't teach old dogs new trick, right? It's that.
Yeah.
It's that the same. Hey, Adam. But you're about to say something.
So, when you talk about you had to upgrade the processor to go from 7 to 10. And so the people that have the highest CPU that's available for that motherboard, for that chipset,
Yeah.
you're no longer talking about just swapping out a processor. You need to change out the motherboard to change out the processor. And then all of a sudden your GPU, that great GPU, isn't going to be compatible. Oh crap. You know what? That 850 watt power supply isn't enough to power the new GPU. And so you're building a whole new system. And especially so we're talking about older computers, your SATA 2 SSD, well, sorry, that's fucking horribly slow and tough shit.
Yeah.
So you're going to need to mirror your old SSD onto a SATA 3 SSD. It just compounds, and people don't.
Yeah.
Most people just go to Best Buy, pick up whatever, go over to that stupid Geek Squad desk, bring their old tower in, and their new tower that they're just buying. It's like, just make it work.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad I'd never worked tech support like that, but
I went to study up on doing the CompTIA, right? CompTIA Plus is, I got that certification, and that's basic round off. There's other things like CompTIA security, all this stuff, but CompTIA Plus is just like I learned that at least through the process, is that for IT is to understand you got to start with the most obvious questions first, right? and you got to document along the way. And the funniest thing is that if more than that, starting with the obvious solves the problem.
Yep.
Because a lot of us are absent-minded of how this technology works. Oh, this phone works great. It's easy to use. All I do is turn it on, boom, done. You don't understand the complicated coding that went into it.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, just going on the Apple side alone, because that's a different part of Unix. They've made the complicated look simple, and you don't know how they got there in the first place. You
Yep.
just say, ooh, pretty colors, and that's it. And there's an understandability for older people, right? Because the technology has grown from analog to digital and then HD digital and so forth and so on. And
Yep.
so there is a learning gap there. And of course we've made technology to be a little easier. But when you have something like the CrowdStrike thing or whatever, it doesn't matter anymore.
No.
None of this stuff matters anymore because you've just seen how fragile it is. It is as fragile as a glass jar falling on cement. And
so you're talking about the tech support, and
yeah.
Phoenix was mentioning that did they put my first compact on that plane?
Yeah.
And that's funny because so I had a few friends that worked at Compact's tech support in the DFW area of Texas.
Yeah.
And way back in the day when Compact first put CD-ROM in their towers, they had Coca-Cola as a, they pay to have the Coca-Cola logo on there for advertising purposes. And people literally thought it was a fucking cup holder. And they would call Compact tech support because their cup holder wasn't working. I mean, we're sitting there at the bar. Oh, God bless. Yeah. So it was a long time ago, obviously. But,
yeah.
So we're sitting at the bar and it's like, and I'm hearing these guys talk about it. I'm like, are you your cup holder? And I'm trying to think, it's like, back then, drinks of any kind didn't go on your desk ever. My coffee sat on a separate on a filing cabinet away from my computer.
Yes.
Back then.
Yep.
And back then I worked for Dell. God, this is a long fucking time ago in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I worked at Dell, they worked at Compact. And I'm like, you get calls for this shit? Like, I never talked to the tech support guys at Dell because they're just weird.
Right.
I worked in a whole different department. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that's a. So yeah, I understand, when you call tech support, like, is it plugged in? Is it turned on?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I always think in my head, it's like, I wouldn't be fucking calling you.
Right. Yeah.
Oh.
But you also understand that a majority of people dealt with are just on the surface. The surface, and that's where I mean, with you, your knowledge is more abounding, so obviously be a stupid question to you, but once you understand, oh, they're asking it like I'm at level, and then that's where you say, look, we'll skip past that point, everything's fine, it's just this fact, and that's where it is. And the thing of it is for me, and we'll cut it soon because I do have to get leaving soon. when people complain about Rumble, right? They say the
Mhm.
UI is bad or this is bad or whatever. They don't give any more description than that.
No.
And for me, it's like, if you want the platform to get better, you have to give a more apt description of what is wrong. It's the same with IT and all this stuff for coding, because troubleshooting is starting with the obvious first and then going down the line. That's what troubleshooting is on the tech scale. This is basic stuff to learn in the CompTIA Plus. You go down the scale, you ask the questions, you do all this stuff because you need to have a. The better part of this is when you can take physical evidence of the issue
Yes.
and show them like this. So when Rumble Studios was having issues over a time period, right? You know, this or that, whatever, I would take a picture of the warning sign that came up, or
Yep.
I would take a video of all this stuff showing this is what I do, this is how I do it. That cuts across the guesswork
Mm-hmm.
because I'm physically showing you what the issue is, and now it's your job to, okay, what do we do next, right? Not in a mean way, just, but many people don't operate on that way. I
No,
had to
so
learn to operate on that way. Not many people do.
I had I don't do it anymore,
Mhm.
but I would have debugger open while using Rumble Studio when we were in the beta stage,
Yeah, the beta, yeah.
when we were testing everything out before it launched,
Yep.
and I was using it multiple times a day,
Mhm.
and I would just take the full log,
Mhm.
and if there was any issue, I would hunt down for that issue,
Mhm.
take that snippet, and
Yep.
send it off to Axel.
Yep.
And the problem was resolved almost immediately. But you'd see on Gilded,
Yeah.
back when we all used Gilded.
Yeah.
I know that sounds like, way back in the day, 2 months ago.
Feels like it. Feels like it.
Now that we're back on Discord, I'm like, oh fucking hell. That's why we have why we have Travesty now.
Yep.
Thank God. Working on the alpha,
Mhm.
and God bless all the features that are now in there.
Yep. And it's
Crazy.
still a work in progress, but it's also using the Rumble Cloud as well. So that's interesting. But yeah, go ahead.
And I mean, it's an alpha stage. We're 2 months away from going to beta, to the public beta stage.
Nice.
So that's going to be right. And if you want to join in and help, go over to travesty.chat. Sign up. You can sign up for the alpha, or you can sign up for beta, and it'd be wonderful to have more people using it.
Would you be willing to at least give like a summary of, or an explaining of Travesty Chat? Is it like Discord? Is it like this? What is Travesty Chat?
So it's a open source, free speech Discord alternative. So it started out with very, very, very basic just text chat features. We now have multiple voice chats, categories for your channels and your server, sub-servers, sub-channels. Basically, if you remember Discord about 5 or 6 years ago, that's where we're almost at.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So we went from basically a Usenet, which is what we used in the 90s.
Yeah.
Text-based forum chat is what we started with 2 months ago.
Right.
So it's massively growing and much more feature rich. We're using it. We're using the VC for Quake 3 Arena because we're a bunch of old guys,
right?
I don't want to play X Defiant. That shit
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna play Quake 3 Arena. We
Nice.
we play Doom
Mhm.
Deathmatch. We play Half-Life Deathmatch.
Oh.
We're we got the LAN parties
Mhm.
back on, and we're using the VC
Mhm.
and Travesty, and it's so
Mhm.
great that we can do that without having Discord
Yeah.
recording your VCs.
Yeah.
Because if you use Discord, well, guess what?
Yep.
Everything's recorded, and Discord is even admitted, just like Google.
Mhm.
They don't. They're not waiting for a warrant. They just gave access to the
Yep.
feds. They're like, here, you know what? Don't waste your time getting a warrant. Just here's
Yep.
access to it. Have
Yep.
at it.
Yep.
Like, you shitting me? That's why. That's why I like Signal uh,
Mm.
for uh, for texting people. Is
Hey.
for one, there are no logs,
Yeah.
and when there is any questions on, uh, when there's any subpoenas,
Mhm.
Signal's just like, hey, here's a full copy of the subpoena, and this is our response.
Yeah.
Mario, welcome, welcome.
Yeah, it's yeah, cuz now will once it becomes like a one point thing, will there be a pay thing, cuz I imagine supporting this is going to have to require some
Yeah,
financial backing.
yeah. So there will be paid features uh,
Cool.
at the server level.
That's
Uh,
cool.
so instead of like Nitro, where if you want to use it,
Yeah.
you have to pay. No, it's going to be the server if they're wanting additional features. Obviously, it's going
Mhm.
to have to be paid because it's not free.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep.
uh, uh, uh,
It's again, it goes back to what Phoenix said. You, if it's free, you're the product,
yeah,
that's pretty much with everything. But yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it kind of built up, and it's using the Rumble Cloud, which is great. And Travis, is it Travis? Travesty is the name.
uh, Tyler Travis.
Try it, Tyler Travis. Tyler Travis seems like he's a really cool dude, and I'll try to get him on one day. But yeah, the when it gets to the point that it can replace Discord, because again, Discord has a lot of features, it'll probably be a betterment for people who use Discord for whatever. Because right now you have a lot of people using Discord, and they
Yeah,
use it willy nilly, and they
yeah.
forget about the other stuff.
I get it. It was really hard to get people to switch over from Discord to Gilded,
Oh yeah.
and Gilded was far more feature rich than Discord,
Mhm.
unless you're paying Discord $100+ a year to use.
Jeez.
Uh, and nobody wanted to switch. So
Mhm.
it, I get it. It's going to be hard, and not gonna move everyone over. We're not moving everyone over from Rumble or from YouTube to Rumble yet.
Yeah.
It takes a long, long time, and once people start waking up to, holy crap, Discord's probably not the way to do it. That's
Yeah.
why, like the video game development that I'm working on, we're doing it on Travesty. We're not going to build a community on Discord
Mm-hmm.
and then have to switch people over. It's just going to say, screw it. It's going to be on Travesty from
Mm-hmm.
day one.
Nice. And that sounds like you have people out there making the things, improving things, and doing more in the sake of uh, freedom of speech and all this stuff. And as long as government doesn't come knocking at your door like it does for the UK, I think we're in pretty good shape. But time is of the essence of those accords, and unfortunately, kingdoms rise and kingdoms fall, and no matter what the rules are, people change.
Yep.
But unfortunately, however, I do need to start shutting this down because I do have a full time job and I have to get up in the morning.
I got dinner, and then
Yeah.
I got radio in the morning. So
Oh yeah, yeah. But anyway, before we go, let's do self promotion, and then I have one more thing, and then we'll get on. Hey, Rich, how are you doing? So, of course, all his links that he has are down below. I'll have to add the gaming one later, but go ahead and promote yourself, and I'll do mine.
all right. So you can find me at rumble.com/Crazy Goffo. I stream in the mornings, a news recap, and then I stream later in the afternoon or early afternoon on rumble.com/Goffo Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I play older. I don't want like calling them old games because, damn it, I was a teenager when they came out. But
Yeah.
uh, you know, the Doom, Quake, Half Life,
Duke Nukem.
Duke Nukem for sure. I love Duke Nukem. That's my jam. I restarted Marathon
Mm-hmm.
from the mid '90s, so
Nice.
that's usually what I'm playing,
Mm-hmm.
and having a great time with chat because there's nothing. Streaming's boring without chat.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So if chat's not just blowing up, it's boring.
Yeah.
So I love chat. I engage with them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. And like I said, his stuff is down in the description below on both ends, on both YouTube and Rumble. So give him a check out. And from my end of things, whether you're on YouTube or Rumble, if you wouldn't mind liking it, sharing it, following, and leaving a comment, one of it or all of it, the engagement factor helps on both ends to not only to be seen more, but also to bring more people on, like Crazy Goffo and Phoenix Electra and UB Legend and Vaping Gamers and so many other people, because um, there's a lot of people in this world who have a lot of different perspectives and have done a lot of things in their lives, and so it's a wide range of it's like a buffet, right? A buffet of people, but it makes me sound like a cannibal, but I don't want to do that. So but anyway, the engagement factor helps us being seen more and having more people on. And again, September is almost full. I want to fill up the rest of the months to the end of the year and beyond, because while I'm not making anything big out of it, while I'm not getting any big numbers, whatever, it's the conversations with the people that I've had, and whether they're silly, serious, or everything in between, it's been an enjoyable ride. And again, I have reached my 100th person Friday, and I'm looking to see what more I can get at the end of the year. So, and then of course, if you'd like to come on, or if you'd like to know where I am, down in the description below on both ends, there's a link tree. Go to my link tree. You can find me on Twitter X. You can find me on YouTube and Rumble. But if you want to contact me, there's Twitter X, Discord, and email. Of course, my email is the Proton, which I love using as well. Even though I pay for it, I love using it. And again, if you don't want to do any of that, if you just want to leave a comment on either YouTube or Rumble, say, hey, I'd like to come on, that's okay too, because again, it's about trying to get as many spaces as you can to come and say, I'd like to come on, or like to find me, or whatever. Because again, this isn't just for other creators. This isn't just for people who are big or small creators. This is for just about anyone who's willing to have a mic, be respectful, and all sorts of things. Because at the end of the day, we're a lot of people divided by a lot of different things. And the big chunk is the politics and all this other stuff, and our biases and whatnot. And I like doing this thing where we can just sit down and converse and just chat about whatever, because I get talking about just entertainment or this or that, and the little tangents in between. I am like the Julie Andrews on the top of the hill in The Sound of Music. I can just, it's wide, free, and open, and we can go wherever. And you just saw about 2.5 hours of that. So it's been really fun. And thank you, Crazy Goff, for coming on. I know it's probably like like what are the topics or whatever, but coming on and seeing it for yourself, you see how it works, and I think that's the more improve not improving. It's the proving factor of what I'm trying to say with it, because at the end of the day, people do ask for like, are there topics or this or that, and it's just like, no, it's we can go wherever with this. We can start with you and go from there. And I know some people. I've had people tell me, nervous or anxiety. I had one guy tell me afterwards is that he drank before coming out. He drank a little before coming out because he was nervous. I was like, don't. I'm I'm Atlas in this thing. All you have to do is sit there, smile a little bit, and answer a yes or no question if you can or whatever. After that, when we find an area to go to, it's grand and it's great, and I'm appreciative of it. So there's two. Oh, thank you, Mr. R, and Mr. R is pretty awesome dude as well. So there are a few things. So one is tomorrow. Oh, I better get my calendar. So tomorrow at 8 p.m. Oh, at 8 p.m. Eastern, I will have on a gentleman by the name of Don't Know. I believe he's Rumble only as well, but I'm not too sure. I'll have to recheck that. But he's coming on at 8 p.m. Eastern, and I hope you will be there for it as well. And of course, the last piece of agenda is at the end of the show with the guests, I like to do something called Questions from Hat. It's a combination of the actor studio where James Lipton would ask a certain last set of questions to every person that came on. Some of those are in here. And then, of course, one of my favorite shows, Whose Line Is It Anyway? They would have a thing called Scenes from a Hat. And this is sort of where I took that inspiration. So I bought a Rumble hat, obviously, and I filled it with a bunch of different questions. They're questions that aren't specific in essence. They're answer questions. So the point of it is that the guest gets two, but if people want more questions asked, I'm not monetizing YouTube, so sorry guys. But if you're on Rumble, you can give a rant, whether it be one to whatever, up to you. But if you want another question beyond those two, you gotta pay for it. So I know I don't want to say it like that. It's you gotta give something to get something more. So but anyway, let's start with the first one. I'm not looking in the hat. All I'm doing is feeling around. Sort of like those weird things they do on shows sometimes, where they make you put your hand in a box and you don't know what's inside the box. Yeah, it's not that. Anyway, so here's the first one. It says, this is probably easy. Do you prefer coffee or tea?
Definitely coffee. I have my own coffee brand, Java File Coffee. So yes, it's coffee. I also, my morning show is called Morning Coffee with Crazy Goffo.
Caffeinated or decaffeinated?
All calf.
All cap? Well, you're a busy
full
man.
Throttle.
Yeah, you're a busy man, so I can see that. All right.
Coffee team assembled. Yes.
Coffee. It's not Avengers. It's a coffee team. All right. What do we got? All right. Let's get this one. All right. This is the last one, unless someone gives a rant. Here's that. So let's see what the question asks. Okay, here you go. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be with and why?
I only get to choose one.
Yeah.
So John Moses Browning.
Why is that?
So, well, I mean, he's 128 firearm patent designs.
Oh, wow.
So I was a pro staffer for many years, and then I worked for Fabrique Nationale de Style. I carry his design every day. I use them regularly. So, and I'm actually working on 3D models of almost all of his designs again, just for the video game that I'm working on. So,
wow.
You know, the very first semi-auto shotgun, the Browning A5, was designed by him, and it's still in use to this day. From 1898, the 1911 that I carry is his design. So the Browning BAR, the Mod Deuce, the 50 BMG in its entirety was invented by him. So, yeah, it'd have to be John Moses Browning.
Wow, and that's pretty cool too. Mr. I saying A500 is his favorite gun of all time. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's pretty cool. I personally would have. I don't know what they would. I don't know what to mean by historical in the sense of like, because I would probably go with Robin Williams, but that's more of just to have a laugh with a legend. So,
that'd be
but anyway,
great,
guys,
too.
that is but anyway, guys, that is the end. And of course, I thank you all for coming, and I thank you, Crazy Goffo, for coming. And of course, you are always welcome to come back on. It never stops with just one, because there's always more to talk about, ironically. So, but I do appreciate you all, and yes, I do kind of, I have to, after this, I gotta get things ready for tomorrow, because I do try to set up for the day before, so I don't have to think about it tomorrow. But anyway, guys, thank you again so much, and of course, like always, we end out with, hold on, let me get there. One Day with You by Pogo. See you all tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, guys. Have a great night. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
You're welcome.